Greetings and welcome to my channel, Take Control of Your Health. I'm Dr. Corey Stern. And if this is your first time watching, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you. And I'd like to ask you to make sure to check out all of the other videos on this channel because all of them will help you to not be a victim of the bad guys who are trying to make you sicker, weaker, and stupider. And if you're a returning viewer, I want to thank you so much for all your support and your feedback. And keep those comments coming. I love them. Any questions that you have, you know, I answer them right away as fast as I can. If you haven't yet had a chance to subscribe, please do that now. And please, if you like this video, hit the like button because it helps other people to find it. And lastly, and most importantly, if you know somebody that you think would benefit from this information, please share it with them. So today I am very excited to have a special guest who I've known for a very long time and who's actually helped me a lot in my practice. And this is Lisa Moore. She's a registered dietitian and has been one for 32 years. And she has a holistic emphasis honoring mind, body, and spirit in her quest to help others achieve true health. She's had her own clinical practice, ran seminars, series in the field of chiropractic and nutrition, and she now consults practitioners in the New York metropolitan area on the clinical application of whole food and herbs. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for taking your time out. I know you're really busy, and I really appreciate this. So I would like to talk today about nutritional supplements, right? So I use a lot of nutritional supplements in my practice. It's one of the ways that we help correct nutritional deficiencies in people's bodies, besides helping them to learn how to eat better. So let's talk about how does the average person figure out what kind of supplements they should be taking? Are there important differences in quality of supplements?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I think it's important for the viewers to understand maybe a little bit where I'm coming from, and you can talk about my expertise per se, but I think the greatest way to share the passion that I may have for what I do is because I suffered ill health. And I had asthma, allergies, eczema, irritable bowel, and I had a journey that I was going on for quite some time. And so my knowing of this from an intellectual perspective and my experiencing of this in my personal life and those people that I love and the doctors that I consult to, I think it makes a big difference because people who are watching you right now, I commend you for watching the show because you are somebody also who've had your health experience. You're somebody who lives and breathes this, and you're somebody who educates and helps people every day in terms of helping directing them. And you need somebody like that in your world. You have to have that trust level. So when I'm sharing with you information about what I trust and what I do, it comes from that. The passion comes from that trust. So it's a person who can basically align themselves to you and trust you. Now they're on a health journey in their life that can make all the difference. I know for myself that there were people in my life that made all that difference. It finally clicked on and said, there's truth here. I get it. I can apply this to my own life, and it makes a huge difference. So for listeners, you're on this journey. Perhaps you know a little, perhaps you know a lot. But when I share even certain things with you, if you resonate with the philosophy even more than the intellect, I would say, I think it's a combination of those two things. And I think we really need to do that in this day and age because we are bombarded with information. How do you figure it out? And it should come down to a philosophy in essence. Okay. So I'm going to first give you my philosophy. So I'm a registered dietitian, and we learned about food, the application of food. And that's wonderful because it all starts with a good diet. You know that, of course. That's what you do every day with your patients. You make them understand how food affects their body and make better choices. But as a registered dietitian, we learn all that biochemistry about food And then I watch people in clinical practice give food like substances to their patients to make up for the nutritional deficiencies they have or the body and organ systems that are no longer working, because your body knows exactly what to do, but you have to put those genuine parts back in again. So that's good diet. Unfortunately, we're in a world, and we're in a toxic world, and we're also in a commercialization of food products and even of supplements. So, from my perspective, I want supplements from a company. I work with professional lines. I know you do too, that you can trust their integrity. How long have they been around? I use companies that have been around for 90 years that have their own farm. They're essentially farmed to supplement. They have a history and they have, most importantly, an intention. So I know you and I use a very similar company because of that. And I feel like intention is everything. Why did you start? Did you start because it was a good thing to get into because everybody's making a ton of money? Or did you start because you understood what was happening to food and people were suffering? They're not getting healthier because we're not replacing those genuine parts. So there are differences, and there are vast differences in the industry. So when you go to a store, you don't know what you're looking at. So I'll guide a very simple adage about food and then supplements, because I think they both are really important. People will probably ask you all the time, like, how do I know what to eat? I'm amazed that people don't know what to eat. And I say, imagine you lived on a farm and all that you could eat were things that grow on the farm. You can get fish there, you can get vegetables, you can get fruits, you can get fats, you can get butter, you can get protein sources from, what kind of, whatever kind of animals that you might have, eggs, etc. All of that stuff is great stuff. But you'll never find a Twinkie tree. You won't find a Cheez It on the ground, growing. So all of those things that are packaged and you can't even identify them. I mean, what is a Twinkie made of? I have no idea. Those things are not good for you. So going back again, and that's a simple way to share with people so they can visually get it. But then when it comes to supplementation, somehow I don't even with people in our field, right? I don't know how the intellect told us, okay, so we're going to use things that we're going to tell our patients to eat whole foods. But then when it comes to our supplements, we're going to tell them that synthetic isolates and things that are not made from food are okay. So first and foremost, I go to Mother Nature. She is divine. We are in big trouble because we don't honor Mother Nature. She has all the answers. But yet, the smarter we get, the dumber we get. So I look for a company that honors that. Now, one of the things I always share with people is everything that you put in and on your body either nurtures you or robs from you, period. And so when we take a medicine, it will get an effect, get us out of an extreme emergency, and then we go back to doing our healthy thing that we need to do. When I eat broccoli, I just know what it's doing for my body, not to my body. When I take a supplement, I might even take a supplement that I need for medicinal effect because it's synthesized and it's isolated and we're pulling one part out of it for an effect. But ultimately, that is doing something to my body, not for my body. So I want to make sure that I honor nature. And as a clinician and as somebody who was healed through the application, I make sure that, and when I teach people, I want them to understand the differences there. So I'll give you a little difference. So everybody knows about vitamin C, big time. It's on the news, everybody talks about it. Well, people think, and so does the FDA, that ascorbic acid is vitamin C, but it's not. It's just the antioxidant protective layer. It protects that plant. So if I were to take an orange, the ascorbic acid only accounts for 3% of that orange. That orange is filled with all these other factors, bioflavonoids. We hear a lot about rutin, quercetin, those are all bioflavonoids. isochore, hesperidin. There are other factors, J factors, K factors, etc. In that orange, if I took a list of all of the nutrients that are in that, I would have it would just hit the ground with words and biochemicals and phytonutrients that you don't know of. But that's the majesty of Mother Nature. So here we are in our brilliance. We talk about just the antioxidant portion of it, ascorbic acid, and we call it vitamin C. But you and I know it's not vitamin C, the whole complex. So in the application of a food, so the definition of nutrition is the utilization of food, not food-like substances, food for the maintenance, growth, and repair of tissues. So we need all that stuff. And that's the only thing my body recognizes. The only thing it recognizes is food. It will have to bring in other things to make it whole. So if I take ascorbic acid, I've got to pull from other sources to make that ascorbic acid whole, because I'm robbing from Peter to pay Paul in order to do that. So while those things are better than medicine, and they absolutely are, we still need to utilize how nutrition exists in nature. And that's what you do. And, you know, it's really sad, Dr. Corey, and you know this, everybody wants an immediate effect. I've eaten Twinkies my entire life and I have an autoimmune disease, but can you fix me tomorrow? And that part to me is annoying, because it's a journey. I have not arrived. I've been doing this. I've been sick. I've been off medication since the age of 16, and I took like 20 meds a day. I couldn't breathe. If I laughed too hard, I had an asthma attack. I had pneumonia every single solitary year, every time I got a cold. So it's a journey. You don't ever arrive because of the world that we live in. But there's things that you could do that you share with the people on here and with your patients every day to help them. And that's one of them, is knowing the difference between whole food type supplements and those that are synthetically derived. Does that answer your question properly?
Mhm. Yeah, so from what I've understood about it, what I've learned and from different sources is that foods give your body the replacement parts they need to grow healthy new cells, as you said, new tissue, right? So every part of you is made out of cells, every single part of you. People don't think about that very much. They don't really think about what their body is actually made out of. You know, they think people are familiar with the concept that they have brain cells because there's, you know, jokes about, you know, losing brain cells when you do drink too much alcohol, whatever. But every single part of you is made out of cells, and your cells are always dying, and you're growing new ones. And
240
people,
billion every day.
how many?
240 billion every day.
Okay, so 240 billion cells are dying and you're replacing them. So what people rarely think about is, what is the material that they need in order to grow the new cells? And the answer is food. When I ask that question to people, what are your new cells made out of? Very often they just don't know. They'll think about it. They'll say water, they'll say air, but they don't think about food as the source. That's actually the primary function of food, is to help give your body the stuff that it needs to grow the cells. So when you're eating bad stuff and bad food and crappy food and chemicals, you're going to be growing bad cells. That's how that works. And when you grow enough bad cells, one or more of your organs is going to dysfunction.
Yeah.
So what you were just talking about, how the food in this country is so compromised in the US and other parts of the world too. We have viewers in other countries, and there's, you know, this problem exists worldwide. Some places are worse than others, but definitely here in the US, it's pretty bad because most of our soils are depleted of nutrients. And that's where food gets its nutrients, from the soil. And, commercial farms use artificial fertilizer. You need real fertilizer. You need poop to put those minerals back in the soil. So most of us are just walking around with deficiencies. And then the example that you used about vitamin C, so let's just say you have a vitamin C deficiency because the foods that you're eating, like oranges or whatever, foods you're eating with vitamin C, don't have a lot of vitamin C in them anymore. So now you're trying to supplement, so to make sure you get enough vitamin C, and you go to the store and you buy what you think is vitamin C, and it's actually ascorbic acid. And now you're overloading your body with more ascorbic acid rather than all the parts of the C that is needed, and you're creating an imbalance. So now you have too much ascorbic acid and not enough of the other parts of the vitamin C. And that actually ends up not being that helpful.
Absolutely. And it's just, like here you are, you've gone through all the schooling that you have, and then you learn another discipline, which is nutrition. And there's so much more to it. It is very confusing for most people. But I think if people learned some really simplistic things, they can make better choices. And of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, to trust somebody and a trusted practitioner that makes some sense for you. Like if you started talking biochemistry right now, it doesn't really mean anything to people. But when you're talking about these things, and as mentioned before, Mother Nature has all the answers. And I don't care who you are, how intelligent you are, you will never ever replace the intricacy of Mother Nature. And she's perfect. So the more that we can learn from her and apply it in our lives, the better, the healthier we will be. And it extends beyond that. So even as you mentioned before about soil, one of the things I always talk to people about the soil. I'm emphatic about talking about the soil because the soil is what gives the plant life. The soil is what gives the plant nutrients. So 1 teaspoon of healthy soil has more microbes than there are people on earth. 1 teaspoon, and it's its own living ecosystem. It's in absolute perfect harmony. And one of the discoveries that we've had in the last, I don't know, decade or so, in terms of people talking about it more than ever, is the microbiome. And the microbiome is analogous to that soil. And what we've done in our soil and what we've done in our bodies is we've killed diversity. It is the diversity. So again, you got more microbes in 1 teaspoon there are people on earth, and we've got trillions and trillions of, I guess you could call them bugs, right, in our body that are living in this ecosystem, and it's perfectly balanced when all things are great. But when we eat poor foods and we have a stressful lifetime, and we eat foods that are not from a good soil, and we take a ton of medications, and we don't think of the ramifications of doing so, we're killing that diversity. And that diversity is what gives us, that plant, the healthy life. So a plant is only as good as its soil. We are almost only as good as our microbiome and how we're feeding that microbiome. So everybody right now is into killing this, killing that. No. We need to go back to our terrain and heal our soil, put back that organic matter back into our soil, so that we have a healthy plant. And it's that simple. So everything that you do, you could sound as smart as the next person who wants to talk, but it doesn't make sense, because you could do heroic things or you could do little things right every day that are the most important things to do. And it may take time for somebody to work with you to get the full results, but it's never wasted time, because anytime we're investing in our soil, we're investing in ourselves and our health. So eventually body systems will be like, whoa, I needed that. Whoa, I needed that. And eventually they work. It's just so cool.
Yeah, as you know, I had my own health issues as well before I discovered the connection between nutrition and health. I've talked about it on this channel before, and I have fully restored my health using good quality supplements and good quality food. But as you noted earlier, the journey doesn't end. There's no such thing as being healthy enough. You never get to the point where you say, all right, I'm done with being healthy. I don't have to work on it anymore. Especially in this toxic world, and your body's constantly aging, so things change minute by minute, really. But the truth is, talking about soil, that your body is actually made out of the same thing that the planet is made out of.
I know it's all connected, and when you mentioned who I am and what I do, like I mentioned holistic because it takes into consideration that everything is a microcosm and it's all interconnected. And the more good that you do for yourself, and when you honor the planet and the earth and you honor your body, you're really actually helping. You are truly a steward in that regard for good stuff. When we could heal so much more than take this pill because, I don't know, I want good skin or whatever the case might be. It's so beyond that. And when we learn these things as consumers, we're conscious capitalists. We're purchasing and we're participating with people who get something that's greater than, oh, I just want to take vitamin C so I could be healthy right now. It's so much more than that. So when we bring that awareness to people, we can really make a difference in the world. I think. I like to think that everything I do is more than just do this thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely feel like I am making a difference in the world and helping other people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just to help people decide what supplements do they actually need, how do you know? How does one know what deficiencies they have and what supplements they should use to correct them? And I know a lot of my patients will come in as a new patient already taking a bunch of stuff, and they're trying their best to help themselves, but they're not always choosing the right things because they just don't have enough information. What do you recommend that people do to get those questions answered?
Well, they're doing it now, right? And they should find themselves a practitioner like you, that a practitioner like you will take you on a health journey and a life journey that you wouldn't probably experience if you didn't find that person. So, because people who are holistic realize all the things that we've talked about so far. So, I really do believe that people you can you know, learn and apply it yourself, but it's just such a vast world. And I do think it's necessary to find somebody. Tiger Woods has a coach, who plays a better game of golf than Tiger Woods, but he has a coach. So in essence, you're looking for people that are experts in their field and they resonate with some truths that you do. And so you're finding somebody that's going to help you make those best decisions. And when you're spending your money, you don't want to waste your money. So you want to use something that's really going to make a difference in your health journey. So that's the things that, so when you go into a GNC, like you mentioned before, you can get vitamin C from corn syrup, and the government doesn't differentiate. The nutrition companies don't differentiate from where that is. So one thing I want everybody to do is, if you've got a supplement or a vitamin on your shelf, I want you to pull it out and I want you to look on the back of that vitamin. And I want you to see if it's a vitamin C product. I want you to look at the ingredients. This is something nobody does. They look for the ascorbic acid and the percentage, but they don't look at the ingredients. Are there any foods in that supplement? 99 times out of 100, even in the professional lines, they'll see absolutely no food. So where did it come from? It's chemically made. So, and the government doesn't differentiate. If I use buckwheat, which is the line that you use, or if I use corn syrup, where would you rather get it from? B vitamins, liver, stuff that we don't eat anymore, nutritional yeast, all of these things are wheat germ. are all sources of amazing B vitamins, but you can get it from coal tar too, and you won't see the differences. But if you look at when people use the products that you use, you'll turn it over and you'll see all the foods in there. And you'll also see foods in there that you're like, what? Liver? Well, we don't eat these foods anymore. We're so modern. We think organ meats are disgusting. But that is the most nutrient dense part. The organs are the most nutrient dense parts of an animal. So if you saw an animal, and indigenous people knew this in tribes, if they were to catch animals, they give to the pregnant women they give them the organ meats first. They need the nutrition the most. If an animal kills its prey in the wild, it will eat the organ meat first, and it'll sometimes leave the flesh because it doesn't need it. So those things are huge, because if we look at Mother Nature, she'll give us the answers, and that's how people existed, you know. And if we observe indigenous people, that's how they live and they stay healthy. It's when they're introduced to modern man's food, that's when they start getting unhealthy.
Yeah, the supplement company that I use the most of is called Standard Process. I've talked about it on this channel before in my video, Is Your Immune System as Healthy as It Can Be? Or no, it's called Keep Your Immune System Strong. I'll link it on this video. And I talked about the supplements from this company, Standard Process, that I use to help strengthen people's immune system, my own included. So it's the oldest nutritional supplement company in the United States. It's over 90 years old. I actually went to their 90th birthday party a couple of years ago. And I use them because they, from what I have learned and researched, they are the best quality supplements available. So they don't sell to the public really. It's not the full line anyway. You can get a few of them on Amazon, but they're available through practitioners such as myself. So I do want to offer that if you're interested, I can do a virtual consult with you. I also have a link on my website, which I'll put in the video description, where you could order those supplements as well if you're interested in them. And
it's the
yeah, go ahead. What?
The application of those products. So there's a vast amount of products, and you were asking how does one determine? So like the key of what doctors do and in your when you're on a health journey is what you find out is that, okay, so you've got all these different systems, the digestive system, the cardiovascular system, the skeletal system, all these different systems in the body, including one newly discovered, which is the endocannabinoid system. And it's up to the doctor to figure out, okay, if I was going to a mechanic, I'd figure out, well, maybe my transmission system isn't working. Well, our job or your job is to figure out what systems need a little bit of assistance. And the way that we know that is we look at your symptoms. What are your symptoms? What clues are your symptoms sharing with me, the practitioner? What clues? Like if you have digestion issues every day, you burp, you have gas, you're constipated, that's not normal. That's not just because you have it and you might take something for that. That's a system that's not working. You don't need to be gassy every day. You don't need to be bloated every day. You don't need to be constipated ever. You don't want to be. So we look at the signs and symptoms, they show up on the body. You know, that's when people usually go to you. I gained weight, so it shows up on the body. I broke out, it shows up on the body. Now suddenly they care. But we look for the real intricacies. You know, somebody is hypothyroid, we're looking at, are they missing the lateral portion of their eyebrows? Are they tired all the time? Is their hair coarse and falling out? You know, we're looking at all of those things. The cardiovascular system, we can see, we have them pull up their pants and let me see your ankles. Are they swollen? Do you have varicosities down there? Do you have hair? If you're over, you know, a certain age and you don't have hair growing on down there on your, you know, your toes and your feet, and you're a man, for instance, Well, that's poor circulation. So we look at those body systems and we see what's not functioning, and we get those things functioning again through the application of the proper nutrition. And like you could do that on a virtual, you could do that, you could say, stick out your tongue. Let me look at it. Let me see the whites of your eyes. Let me see your skin. Show me your feet, things of that nature. So a good practitioner, and sadly, medicine used to, before medicine became a business the way it is, and can't even go into that realm, but it used to do those things. It used to use natural medicine, and natural medicine practitioners like yourself, you know, you guys have always been doing it. You've always been toting that line, and you've always been getting results. It's just not as glamorous.
Yeah, the funny you mentioned the gas and bloating and constipation, because I've had a lot of new patients in the past few weeks, and that is probably the number one thing walking in my door, but my actual office door as well as my virtual door. So it's a huge problem. There's a lot of reasons for it, but most people's guts are being destroyed by things like GMOs, the glyphosate, the Roundup and things, people taking medications that damage their intestines. And
It's even, like Dr. Corey, like people don't realize that. So like when they take that glyphosate and it destroys that soil that's inside of you, that ecology, that diversity, then you are more receptive to being unhealthy and disease. You're more receptive to autoimmune diseases. You're more receptive to cancers. You're more receptive to inflammation. You're more receptive to your brain not working properly. So and you're more, sometimes like you say all those things to people, and how about this? You're also more receptive to gaining weight. Now suddenly everybody's listening. So they don't realize that your soil, your ecology will make a difference in how much calories you process. I eat so little and yet I gain weight. Again, could be a reflection of your soil.
yeah, for sure. And the good news is there is hope, because we are able to help people with this, and that's what we do every day. It's what I do all day, every day. Yeah.
It's
And
and it turns out to look like a miracle, but it's
mhm,
just the application of beautiful Mother Nature. We both have Mother Nature in our background. She's
mhm.
amazing and she is divine, and when properly applied by the right person, will make all the difference.
Yes, I totally agree. So thank you so much, Lisa, for spending the time and giving us your experience and viewpoint about this. I hope that you all benefited from this information. And if you have any questions for Lisa, you can put them on the comments, and I will bother her by texting her your questions and have her answer them for you. So thank you all for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, and we'll be seeing you all again very soon.
Great. Bye.